Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the commander of the 21st Space Wing, Colonel Todd R, welcome to the State of the Wing Address. My name is David Meade, and I'm from the 21st Space Wing Public Affairs Office. I am honored to be your Master of Ceremonies. We would like to welcome our distinguished civilian guests and 21st Space Wing leadership. Thank you for attending this important event. To introduce you to the mission of the 21st Space Wing, please enjoy this short video.
We are the 21st Space Wing. We are space warriors. Our presence is everywhere. Our mission reaches to the heavens above. Devoted to our innovative airmen, our support never wavers. We are ready anytime, any place. We are the 21st Space Wing. We are the knights of the high ground, our nation's vigilant shield, its watchful eyes. We defend this land every second of every day. We are the 21st Space Wing. We are the guardians of the night sky. We will never lay down our shield. Forever strong, forever prepared. We are the 21st Space Wing. We are the Watch.
Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 21st Space Wing, Colonel Todd R.
Okay, I'll turn it on now, not when I'm standing next to the microphone, the speakers, I guess. So thank you all for joining us today. A year ago, I had the opportunity to do this and to join you. Back then, there were so many unfamiliar faces, and today I'm so thankful to see so many that are. And I thank you for joining us and being here and having the opportunity to just talk to you a little bit about who we are and what we do and how we get it done. Next chart. The best part about this is I don't do this alone. I am so thankful for that. I have such an incredibly talented team, most of which have swapped out over the past year, and this is the new crowd mostly. In the front office, Colonel Sam Johnson just joined us this summer. Is Sam here or is he down at the flight line right now? Okay, you'll see him. He'll be in here in a bit. Chief Master Sergeant Jacob Simmons joined us over here. I'm thankful for this man's leadership and who he is to this wing, who he is as my counselor, my confidant, my travel buddy, and all the things he does for the airmen in the wing. And a brand new individual mobilization augmentee, Colonel Jen Fitch. I don't know if Jen's here, but Ron, I see you're here. Thank you for joining us today. And then amongst the operational groups, Colonel Devin Pepper and Chief Rudy Gamez is here with us today for the operations group. For the 21st Mission Support Group, Kirsten Aguilar and Chief Dale Filzell are here in the back. In the 21st Medical Group, I have Colonel Chris Vaughn and Senior Master Sergeant April Ashton. For the 721st, I have Colonel Rob Moose and Chief Scott Robbins, who are here with us. I would be remiss if I didn't point out the Wing Staff Agency and the man who needs no introduction, the great Mr. Al Strait, and Senior Master Sergeant Larry Senegal. And in spirit with us tonight up in Thule, I have Colonel Mafwa Kuvi Badila and Chief Rennie Nunag, who are serving up at the northernmost location for any U.S. military installation. I'm going to talk a little bit more about them and their service and their airman service here in just a little bit. Next chart. We operate an enormous wing. For those of you who are familiar with what we do, you know that we are as far north as 600 kilometers above the Arctic Circle in Thule, Greenland. We operate all the way through down to Adelaide, Australia, north and south. We are as far west as the Aleutian Islands, out there Shimia Island, and we're as far east as the Kwajalein Atoll. And the two really neat things about that, if you stop and consider it, Thule is 600 miles above the Arctic Circle, so far north that they have to look south to see the northern lights. Think about that. Kwajalein is so far east, and Shimia is so far west that when you look at them on a globe, they are literally vertical to one another on either side of the dateline. We are a global wing, and we are doing incredible things as we execute 3 primary missions. Next chart. Our 3 primary missions are to execute missile warning and missile defense. The 2 main distinctions between that is missile warning is about providing information to national level decision makers. And missile defense is about pushing off the data to make sure that we are able to target and prevent that attack from following through. When we talk about space situational awareness, we're talking about space intelligence. We're making sure that we're deconflicting the traffic that's in space, as well as keeping an eye on adversary behavior so that we can protect and defend those assets that make the American way of life and the way of American war great. And then lastly, in terms of space control, it is our ability on order to address any other space capabilities out there in order to defend terrestrial, airborne, or maritime forces and their operations as well. Next chart. But what you get to see on a day-to-day basis isn't that global wing. I don't have a lineup of jets out on the flight line like any other Air Force base. What I have is a global wing. But what you get to engage with on a day-to-day basis is Peterson Air Force Base, home of over 50 mission partners. And I'm going to talk more about them. But some of the most important that I have in this wing include Space and Missile Center. I have Army Strategic. I have NORAD Northcom, Air Force Space Command, 544th ISR Group, 561st NAS, Advanced Aerospace Operations Group, Special Operations Command North, and last but not least, the 302nd Airlift Wing, the phenomenal team that flies the C-130s and projects air power around the globe for combat operations, humanitarian missions, and even closer to home, our ability to protect our national treasures from wildfire. Next chart. As we support, or as a function of supporting all of these missions and all of these mission partners here at Peterson Air Force Base, we contribute approximately $1.3 billion of economic impact to Colorado Springs. On a day-to-day basis, we have approximately 10,000 personnel who transit and work here on this base, who visit this base and participate in its missions. That is separate and distinct from the 21st Space Wing, which is approximately 4,000 airmen, contractors, and civilians who serve all around the world, only a fraction of which actually serve here at Peterson Air Force Base. Next chart. As we do our operations in the 21st Space Wing, at the heart of it is to execute combined global capabilities to defend the homeland and enable space combat operations. And the way that we do that is with disciplined, creative, and aggressive airmen. And what I mean by that is we have airmen who we instill the values that when they do the job, they do it right the first time. We have airmen who do not fail, who do not back down off a challenge, who push through, who are resilient. They're aggressive. They don't hold back, they don't take no for an answer, and they get after it. And we have creative airmen, those who see the problem and who see the challenge and who don't wait for somebody else to solve it. They are empowered and encouraged and trained to get after it. And we as the leadership team, everybody here in this room in an Air Force uniform, you know exactly what I mean. And my entire leadership team knows it. Next chart. In pursuit of this mission, I have 6 primary thrusts. These really come down to, and you can read them yourself, it really comes down to mission, people, resources, partnerships, culture, and space-mindedness. And I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of these. Next chart. You ought to be really proud of the airmen in this wing. You should really be proud of your airmen here at Peterson Air Force Base. Over 800 airmen have deployed over the last year to all corners of the world. One of the great things and one of the most unique things about the 21st Space Wing is approximately one-third of those airmen are performing space operational missions downrange, away from their family, for months on end, doing great things for this nation. For those missions that don't deploy, we have maintained extraordinarily high operational metrics. We've been able to take systems that are anywhere from 30 to 50 years old and continue to upgrade them and enhance them to meet the needs of the nation as they call. In the next year, we will continue to take the initiative to do those things we need to do to defend the homeland, enable space combat operations. And we will be innovative. The Chief of Staff has been making that point to us and is giving us the resources to get after it and to do that, and we will continue to do so. We're going to focus on cyber readiness and protection, and most importantly, Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Station is the 21st Space Wing. There is no difference between us, and we are pursuing a massive investment in making sure that Cheyenne Mountain is ready for generations and decades to come. Next chart. In terms of taking care of our airmen, my leadership team has the charge to create white space in their schedules, to eliminate those things that serve as distractions from those things they need to do to be ready for whatever their nation calls for them to do. And so one of the top priorities is making time for readiness. And this is part all the way down from the National Defense Strategy through the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Raymond on down. Create white space, get our airmen focused, and be ready. We continue to look at force structure. We continue force support restructuring and how we best support our airmen and our families. And we continue to look to find ways to make Air Force events family events. I tell my team all the time, right on our uniforms, that we have two name tags. You know, one says our family home name, the name people know us by, and then we have the other name we earned, which says U.S. Air Force on it. I'm proud to say we've done a lot of things over here at Patriot Park, whether it's parties and concerts and events, lots of support from the community to do those. We couldn't have done it without you. We even broke a little bit of tradition this year, that at the Air Force birthday celebration, instead of it being a black tie event, instead of it being something we get all dressed up for and come in here and have a nice sit down and have a dinner, what we did instead was we had a family event. We had a family party. We had cake, we had inflatables. And if you saw the base paper, we also had a mechanical bull. For those of you who haven't seen the base paper, don't worry about it. But that's what we're going after. In the year to come, we're going to take care of those geographically separated units, those units that are as far north as Thule, as far south as Australia, and we are doing everything we can to make sure that they have the support they need. And I'll emphasize to tell you, those bases at the northern tier, the Thules, the Cavalier North Dakotas, the Clear Alaskas, they are the top priority. We live a good life here in Colorado Springs. We live on a beautiful base that we want for nothing here, including beautiful sunsets for those of you who saw that last night. We are privileged to be here, and it is my charge and my responsibility to make sure we take care of those airmen. We're going to get after the communication needs up at Thule Air Base. I want our airmen up there to be able to FaceTime their families at dinner. That is not something we can do today. And we're making that a priority. We're going to take care of that. And then most importantly, as we take care of airmen and families, is making sure that those airmen and those families, the retirees, that they have access to the health care that they have earned and deserve. And there's been a lot of changes recently, both in TRICARE as well as the establishment of the Defense Health Agency. It has our full attention. And we are engaging in that, and we're going to do everything we can to communicate and make sure that we're taking care of that. Next chart. In terms of resources, we have been very aggressive over the past year at actually over one major continuous improvement event per month to make the most of our mission and to make the most of our time and the most of our resources. One of the things we've realized is that there is technical intricacy with space operations, and the demands and the speeds for delivering capability are outstripping what we can actually do. And so we're getting after enterprise integration. We're looking at system engineering, and we're trying to figure out how to blend and bring different capabilities together faster and more effectively. And we've solved that in-house, and we're moving forward. The Chief of Staff has been generous to this wing by giving us a significant amount of money to get after innovation. I'm not going to talk a lot about what those are, but to tell you that at least one of them may very well change the way we do space operations for decades to come. And I'm incredibly proud of the way we're moving forward on that. Thule Air Base doesn't have external power generation. They don't have a community like Colorado Springs. They have produced their own power. These generators are decades old, and we're in the process of making sure that they are ready for any season and any time to make sure that that is a livable and survivable place for those airmen to project power. And as many of you may be aware, we are in the process of merging the mission support groups of Cheyenne Mountain with those of Peterson Air Force Base. And what this really comes down to is we have a communication squadron, security forces squadron, and a CE squadron at both Peterson and Cheyenne Mountain. And what we're doing is we're blending those three and allowing for us to realize any benefits of that merge to keep that manpower in-house to solve other problems, to solve other vacancies. And I'm thankful we've been given the opportunity to pursue those ends. Next chart. Strengthening the partnerships. The challenges that this community has faced as it relates to PFAS, PFOA, the emerging contaminant that has been found in the drinking water. I can't tell, for those of you who have navigated this with us, thank you so much for your partnership. Thank you for your engagement in leaning forward. By virtue of that partnership, by virtue of your willingness to allow us to come and speak to you and speak to your communities, we've been able to garner approximately $40 million worth of investment from the Air Force in order to address and ensure that the communities of Security, Widefield, and Fountain have water that does not have that contaminant in the drinking supply. And that's a huge achievement, and that doesn't happen without the partnership. There are a lot of other Air Force communities that are having to navigate this as well. And one of the things that stands out in distinct contrast is the relationship between the base and the community. And so for the leaders in this room who have made that difference and who have been our partners, thank you so much, because it's the right thing to do for our community collectively. We've had some really great base exercises where we've been very aggressive, whether it's with mass casualty events, active shooter events. Your willingness to participate in those exercises with us have been invaluable. I'd like to believe they've been valuable to you for training, as a training opportunity, but it's also critically important to us because if we ever have a catastrophe happen on this base, those support agreements between the base and the city are vital. And so we thank you very, very much for allowing us to continue in that way. And the Law Enforcement Collaborative, for those of you who are aware, the local police departments get together about once a month for breakfast. And being able to share breakfast with them and a cup of coffee and to engage and talk with them, understanding the challenges of the community, understanding what we need to do and what we need here on the base is priceless. And it is an honor to be a participant with the community on that. While we will shore up and maintain these relationships, one of the things that we need to pivot to begin to address where we're going is enhancing the international relationships with other nations that have capabilities that would advance the defense of our homeland and the defense of their homelands, as well as enabling space intelligence and space combat operations. And so we're going to pivot in that way. And in particularly, as the dialogue regarding space and space operations at the national level continue to grow and mature, which are long overdue, one of the really important relationships that we have still yet to really navigate is the relationship with the U.S. Army. And so we're going to pursue that over this next year as well. Next chart. You'll note that none of these bullets have check marks next to them. And I am not saying that we have not been very successful. We have been. We have been very successful in establishing the culture of dignity and respect in this wing. But I leave these unchecked to say that we can never let up. we can never be satisfied and put a check mark next to it and say, well, we're done with the dignity and respect thing. That is always something we're going to have to maintain pressure on. We are always going to have to talk to our airmen, our civilians, and contractors about self-directed and other-directed violence. We cannot let up on that. We cannot lose our talent. We cannot lose our greatest assets. We have to make sure that our airmen and our leadership understand that they refuse inappropriate behavior in the workplace, that there is no room and no tolerance for that. And shaping that culture, having that leadership climate. I'm proud to tell you, last week I had 80 of my most significant leaders in this wing all in one room together for about 2.5 days. And for the 2.5 days, we covered a ton of different topics. We had a bunch of things that we worked through, lots of questioning, lots of great, mature grappling and academic argument. But the most valuable thing to me was being able to sit in a room with my esteemed officer and NCO leadership and make sure that this is what we're getting after. That there is no ambiguity in what I expect in each of their squadrons, at each one of their detachments, at each one of their bases, anywhere they are, north to south, east or west, that dignity and respect is a core foundation of being a member of this wing. Next chart. We are America's only space superiority wing. There's nobody like us. It is regrettable that unlike a fighter wing or an airlift wing where you have jets lined up on the flight line, everybody can get a sense of what that mission is. But my airmen in the mission support group, the airmen in the medical group, they don't get a good feel for what that is. And it's regrettable to me as their commander that if they leave the 21st Space Wing without a better understanding what space is and what it means to the nation, what it means to our American way of life and our American way of war, is incredibly regrettable. And so we have gone about the process of creating opportunities for training over brown bag lunches. We've engaged with the National Security Space Institute to create a one-day, hey, what's space? We're going to continue to do quarterly mission updates at the classified level so my airmen understand exactly what's happening across the globe and in the space domain. I'm going to continue to engage with my senior leaders to understand what is happening at the strategic level and what that means all the way through to their airmen. And then one of the greatest privileges, and you know, there's so many in this room, I'd love to take you with me to Thule. I'd love to take you with me to Thule. And maybe I'll figure that out someday. But getting a chance to take my most junior airmen, the ones who show the greatest promise, and put them on an airplane with Chief and I, and take them out to our geographically separated units. So one, they begin to understand what space is. They get to touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it, right? It becomes something tangible to them. But there's a great benefit to those GSUs as well. That as they come out of the medical group, as they come out of the mission support group, they come with their ideas, they come with their creativity, they come with their experience and their training, and they engage with those commanders. They're going, hey, could we do more for you with this? Or how could I help you with that? And it's a virtuous cycle, and it's a beautiful thing that even though we're spread around the world, we are only one wing. Next chart. It is a privilege to be able to have you here, to open up very clear lines of communication, to be able to stand in a room together and talk, and to foster relationships and grow together. Kelly, thanks for being here. This is our 4th time in Colorado, our 3rd time in Colorado Springs, and this is like a homecoming. And it really is a privilege to serve here. It's a privilege to be here with you. And thank you for all you do for our airmen. Thank you for what you do for this base, and thank you for what you do for this community. Please, anybody who is here in uniform, they're an open target for any questions you might have. I hope that you take them up on it, because that's why they're here. That's why they're here. Please feel free, enjoy some refreshments, and thank you again for your time. That's all.